Please welcome Paige Farrington.
Well, first of all, thank you all. This is the first time I'm going to be using a teeny little microphone like this, so if it starts drifting away, give me the signal. Cannot hear you signal, and I'll put it back up to my mouth. But it is my heart is full to see all of you here today, especially so many of you that I truly love so deeply. And I know you're here to support me, and that really means the world. So thank you so much. Thank you, Cher, for having me speak today. I appreciate the invitation, and it truly is an honor to come here and speak about my most favorite topic ever, or one of my most favorite topics ever, which is peace. And that is a topic that I think is going to become more and more and more important to all of us as time goes on. So since we're having a little chat about peace today, let's do our very best to get peaceful together as a community. So let's just settle into our chairs, get as comfortable as you can. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together. We're going to inhale, hold, and then sigh it out. Okay? So close your eyes. Here we go. Inhale, hold, let it go. Inhale, hold, sigh it out. One more. Inhale, hold, sigh it out. And if you feel so called, say with me, I am grounded and I am in my body. I am grounded and I am in my body. I am grounded and I am in my body. All right, open your eyes. As healers and spiritual seekers, what is it exactly that we are seeking? I think for many of us, it's similar answers to that question. But it's also very personal because we've all had our own individual experiences that we're bringing to this lifetime. But could it be that one of those experiences that we're all seeking, whether it is conscious or unconscious, is the energy of peace? To truly feel peaceful in our lives, in our hearts, to really embody that energy. One thing that I have learned over my 2 decades as a spiritual seeker is that anytime transformation or healing has happened, it has happened when I approached whatever challenge I was facing from a grounded state of peace. Not fear, not anxiety, not worry, not frustration, but a grounded state of peace. And everything that I'm going to share with you today has grown out of that realization. So I would like to show you today how when you embody the energy of peace, that returns you to your power. When you feel peaceful, you can respond consciously to whatever is happening. When you feel peaceful, you are empowered to respond in a way that is respectful to yourself and respectful to everyone involved. In fact, usually when you respond for peace, you bring in the energy of your higher self to make a decision that is in the highest and best good for all. One thing I have learned over the years is we are always in our power. We're just not conscious of how we're using our power. So why is peace so important right now in this moment of time? For everybody in this room, why is peace so important right now? It is important because we are standing on the precipice, like right here on the little edge, or I think our toes are over just a little bit, of an individual and a collective global evolutionary shift. Some of you in this room call it ascension. Some of you call it consciousness rising. Cher calls it 5D. I call it humanity's next evolution. And as spiritual seekers, one thing we do is we often live up here. You know, we're high in our mind, so to speak. But how do we put peace in action in our everyday lives when the world is constantly making us feel not peaceful? I think it can feel a little bit like getting in your car and heading off on a road trip with no functioning GPS. Like you literally don't know where you're going or how you're going to get there. Through two separate moments in time, separated by 18 years, I would like to show you how you can put peace as your power, as the guiding force back in your life. Even when life is throwing you a bucket full of curveballs. The first moment, Salt Lake City, 2002. The second moment, Grand Lake, Colorado, 2020. Both of these moments initially affected me greatly from a state of anxiety. They were both equally traumatic. All right, what would a talk about peace be without a little drama? Okay, storytelling drama. Here we go. 2002, Salt Lake City. Paige, you're fired. 2020, Grand Lake, Colorado. Fire is coming, evacuate now. Take nothing and leave now. In both of these moments, my body initially reacted the same way. How would you react if you were in the midst of either of these experiences? (2002) Sitting in the La Quinta Inn in Salt Lake City. My boss delivers the news. Paige, effective today, we are letting you go. Oh, and here's 2 weeks severance. I tried not to squirm in my chair. My mind was literally going, Paige, you have got to hold it together. My stomach was in knots. My hands and legs were visibly shaking. I was the primary financial provider for our family of 4, and we had just purchased a new house in Larkspur that had a much bigger mortgage. What were we going to do? (2020) Fire is racing toward our family cabin like a bullet train on crack. 60 to 100 mile per hour winds, hurricane force winds, are whipping those flames. My family and I are 130 miles away. We are safe, but we are utterly helpless. In both of these moments, I reacted with fear, anxiety, panic, my mind spiraling on all the worst case scenarios that I was just 100% sure were going to happen. But something had happened in the 18 years between these two experiences. I had grown into a different person. One who can have her moment of anxiety, but then move into a grounded state of peace, even amidst a fire. In fact, the actual fire was a turning point for me, where peace became more than a concept, but peace became a practice. So what had happened in those 18 years? And I know some of you in the room know this story, but 2008, 6 years after I was fired, the universe delivered me a 3-word message. Love ignites peace. That message was more than an affirmation. It was more than a personal mantra. that message was my North Star. I wanted to know beyond a shadow of a doubt why the universe had given me this message and what in the world I was supposed to do with it. Eventually, I landed on, well, I think maybe I'm supposed to try to embody the truth in that message. It makes sense. If I learn to love myself as unconditionally as possible and pass that love on to others, then of course peace will be ignited. In fact, peace will probably be the natural state that grows out of that. Love Ignites Peace has taken me on a many-year journey excuse me, of self-discovery and self-awareness. And what I learned was not great. I learned that I was living my life primarily from a state of fear. I was afraid of what might happen. It didn't matter if I had a lot of money in the bank or a little money in the bank. I was afraid we wouldn't have enough. I was afraid of what was going on in the world. I was afraid for my children. My list of fears was kind of like Santa Claus at Christmas time, you know, unfurling that list of a million children's wants. I also discovered during this time that I was living my life from a profound state of deep self-distrust. I was so afraid to make decisions. I was afraid I was going to get it wrong. So what did I do? I surrounded myself with people who I thought were smarter than me, wiser than me, more creative than me, to help me make my decisions. And even better yet, make my decisions for me, if they would. But none of that fear, none of that self-distrust ever made me feel safe, nor did it make me feel peaceful. In fact, it created an inner turmoil inside of me that eventually woke me up to how profoundly unhappy I had become. As I became more self-aware, I began to liberate myself from those fears and those limiting self-beliefs. And what happened as I liberated myself from those is peace naturally started becoming my state of being. I would like to invite you, ask yourself, what are you afraid of that is influencing your relationship with peace? I invite you, ask yourself, what limiting self-beliefs are you carrying with you that are disrupting your ability to feel peaceful? Love Ignites Peace continues to teach me today, of course, along with all of life's challenges, how to put peace in action in my life and to embody peace as my power. What has emerged from all of that are 3 simple actions that I would like to share with you today to help you put peace in action in your own lives, even amidst all of the drama, chaos, and divisiveness that we see going on in our world. The first action. Peace is a choice. And it is a choice that you're going to have to return to again and again and again and again. In 2002, when I was fired, I didn't know this. In fact, I spent that moment and the next 6 months living in a state of constant fear and worry and losing sleep. In fact, I am still catching up on sleep that I lost in 2002. But what good did it do me? All that worry, all that anxiety eventually began to affect my physical health. My energy started leaking out of me like a very slow, dripping faucet. The days always felt too long, and the nights never felt long enough. Fast forward to 2020. The East troublesome fire is ravishing our area. I knew that losing our family home and all its contents would feel devastating. But I also knew that I had a choice to make. So I called out my fear. I named it. I'm afraid we're going to lose our home. And I'm afraid of what all that's going to entail. So I took some big deep breaths. I grounded myself. When we feel anxious and worry, a lot of our time, our energy is kind of floating around out here above ourselves. I called in my energy just like we did earlier today. I am grounded and I am in my body. Oh, by the way, that's the sound of money going by. I just want you to know that. That's a story for another time. But I made a choice. In that moment, I chose to be as peaceful as I could possibly be, even while the fire was raging. I also knew that the memories that we had made at that cabin were way more precious than the walls itself or the contents. So how does, welcome, how does putting peace in action in our daily lives look? Let's look at a specific example. Okay, we're actually going to get in our cars this time, all right? We're going to get in our cars and we're going to merge onto I-25 North. It's a pretty busy merge area. And this car comes flying, cutting through traffic, flying by us. Cuts off the merge we intended to make. Our heart starts pounding. Adrenaline is coursing through our body. Very unspiritual words are flying out of our mouth. That's normal. But what matters is what happens after that moment. You can continue to spiral on Colorado drivers are the worst. The world is going to hell. People are so inconsiderate. Or you can make a choice. And you can say, I am not going to let some stranger in a blue Honda take my peace. I am not going to let some stranger in a blue Honda take my power. What is it in your life? Or who is it in your life that triggers you? That causes you to feel not peaceful? Is it a person? Is it social media? Is it traffic? Is it the news? Is it politics? Whatever it is, you have a choice. You can decide to fight against what is happening with all sorts of emotions, and maybe that's what happens initially. But then you can decide, do I want to give my power away to this person? Do I want to give my power away to this situation? Again, we are always in our power. We're just not conscious of how we're using our power. We don't need to be Zen monks or Buddhist priests to live from a state of peace. But we do need to make a choice. And a choice that we are going to have to make again and again and again. All right, the second action. Peace becomes your natural state as you embody and learn how to trust yourself, trust the flow of life, and trust that a higher power or a higher intelligence is looking out for you. when my boss said the words, "Paige, we are letting you go," it set my nervous system on fire. I was a million miles away from trusting myself. All I could see was the fear and the spiral and the worry. But what ended up happening from that? My husband and I, we started our own business. And yes, having your own business is filled with challenges, as many of you know. But ironically, it was the challenges from having our own business that taught me finally how to trust. Inevitably, I'd look back and I'd say, what on earth did I get so worked up about? Why did I lose another 2 nights sleep? Every problem was solved. Every challenge was fixed. In fact, early on in our business, cash flow at times would get very tight, and we weren't sure if we were going to be able to pay some of our most important suppliers on time. Somebody always paid early. We never were late with paying any of our bills. The only information that we could find about what was happening in Grand Lake during the fire was on the fire service map. And the fire service map showed the burn area. And that burn area showed our cabin right smack dab in the middle. On paper, our cabin was gone. But I had grown into a different person by this time. One who had learned how to trust. One who had learned how to trust that I had all the tools and resources to handle whatever life was throwing at me. That's what trust is. Trust is an inner knowing that you, each and every one of you, have the resources to handle whatever life is throwing at you, even if it doesn't feel that way. Trust is also an energy where you might not be able to see what that path forward is right in this moment, but there is a path, and that path is trying to find you. That path is rising up to meet you. So ask yourself, what am I most worried about? Could it be that that worry is just trying to get your attention? To redirect you to something better? When my husband and I, after we started our business, having our own business gave us, my family and I, a freedom that I could have never, ever, ever imagined for myself. And when I look back now, I see that that's exactly what was happening. The universe was just redirecting me to something better. Peace is more than a feeling. Peace is a state of being. It is a state of knowing that you are held, guided, supported, protected, even when life is trying to make you feel otherwise. All right, the third action. Peace is not passive. Peace is self-leadership in action. I believe everyone in this room is probably familiar with a scientist by the name of Albert Einstein. And Albert said, you cannot solve the old problems by using the existing consciousness that created them in the first place. Many of you in this room that have followed the science of mind tradition are familiar with Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster, who is an architect, futurist, philosopher, and about 5 other things, he said, you cannot change your existing reality by fighting against it. To change your existing reality, you have to build a new model, one that makes the old model obsolete. As healers, we know you cannot heal the disease from the same consciousness that created the disease in the first place. I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. Yay. If we want to create something different, we have to bring a new consciousness to these old problems in our individual lives and in our collective lives. And who better to do that but a group of spiritual masters? I think the old consciousness of fear and control is ready to become obsolete. And we can help it become obsolete by bringing a new consciousness. And maybe that new consciousness is peace. Maybe one tiny little bit of that new consciousness is peace. So what is not peace? Peace is not a magic pill. Peace is not a governmental policy. Peace is not somebody else's responsibility. Peace is not something that we wait for. After my phone blared, you know how loud it gets with the emergency evacuation notice, I sent a text out to my friends and family and let them know what was happening. And one friend texted back, she said, "What if we imagine encasing your cabin in ice?" Well, why not? Let's do it. So that's what we did. We got busy and we imagined encasing the cabin in ice. In my mind, it's set right in the middle of a very large, crystal clear, beautiful ice cube. And then we surrendered and we let go. What if using our imaginations to create creative, new ideas that are of a different consciousness is something simple that we can do, is one simple action that we can bring to our lives? Every single person in this room knows the phrase, where energy goes, attention flows. So what is it that you want to give your energy to? What is it that you want to give your attention to? We had no information for 5 days on what the status of our cabin was. And on day 6, a neighbor somehow got through the fire blockade, drove by and gave us a call. And he said, "The 3 houses across the street are gone. Your house was completely surrounded in fire. But somehow, your house remains." My body exhaled a sigh of relief and gratitude. It was our miracle of 2020. So I'm going to leave you today with a challenge. When you feel triggered this week, or the coming weeks, or you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, if I were to lead with peace, what action would I take? Not how am I going to fight against whatever's happening that's making me so upset, but what action can I take that is from and will create the highest and best good for myself and everyone involved in this situation? Possibly that's setting a boundary. Possibly that's having a really difficult conversation with someone you don't want to have a conversation with. Possibly that's letting the relationship go. Possibly that's taking no action at all. Or maybe it is complete surrender. you ready to take peace out in this world as your consciousness, your power, and your embodied action? We started this talk taking some breaths together as a community, and I would love to end this talk with the same thing. So again, let's just take some 3 deep breaths. We're going to inhale, hold, sigh it out. Inhale, hold, sigh it out. Inhale, hold, sigh it out. May peace be with each and every one of you as you go about your day, your lives. Thank you so very much for your time, for your attention, and for all the efforts that it